Hey everybody, another Q&A with Dr. J. And today we're going to talk about fermented foods, which are absolutely one of my favorite things on the planet. There's so many varieties of fermented foods, and yet they don't agree with my genetic profile. Oh, however, I do manage with some supplements. I do eat olives.
Yeah.
How come olives are fermented? Tell us about fermented foods and what they could be doing to people that don't have or have a gene variation in the ones that.
Yeah. So this is a popular category because that includes yogurt and miso and sauerkraut and wine and cheeses are fermented and beer. So it's a very popular category. And people think generally, oh, fermentation is good because it gives my gut some good probiotics. And yes, that is true for some people. But for other people who have genetic variants, it can cause some problems and it can cause a buildup of histamine in the body and create allergic reactions. It can cause a buildup of tyramine, which can lead to headaches. So if you're one of those people that suffer from headaches, including migraines, it's possible that the fermented foods are creating a problem for you. And it's something that you can try avoiding for a while and see if your headaches are better. But yeah, and I hear you because it's like I say, it's a popular category. And so it's upsetting to people when when they look at their report and they see their slider all the way over in the red. I don't do fermented foods. So tricky situation for sure.
Now, let's just say histamine, most people will think sneezing, sniffling, allergy, but there's more to histamine. And internally, there's an inflammatory thing kicking in, isn't there?
Yeah, very much. Thanks for bringing that up because it depends on where it hits you. It can hit you in the digestive system. Diarrhea is one of the symptoms of excess histamine in the digestive system. It can cause reddening of the skin, and you'll see people with the red cheeks and red ears, and that can be a histamine reaction in the skin. Hives or rashes or things like that can occur as well with an excess histamine response. Brain fog, because histamine is also a wakefulness. It's a neurotransmitter. I don't think a lot of people
Oh, I
realize
didn't
that.
know that.
Yeah, it's a wakefulness neurotransmitter, and it allows us to think clearly and wake up. But too much of it can fire up our nervous system and then we can't sleep. Lots of interesting symptoms. Because when you take an antihistamine, you get drowsy and sleepy. That's
That
because
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, you lowered your histamine and wakefulness neurotransmitter. Histamine's an interesting topic. And
It's huge. I was reading about it because of iron overload. I was trying to see if there was a relationship, but histamine is so much more than just allergies. But for those people that have allergies, it's all they need to know. I have allergies. That must be histamine, right? They just want to get through the season without blowing their nose off. And oftentimes, I don't know, you answer, is that related also to genetics? Whether you're going to
yeah,
have a pollen sensitivity or not?
yeah, very much. We look at the whole histamine pathway where histamine is broken down into N-methylhistamine and then, broken down into acetaldehydes and excreted from the body. And if you can't break that down correctly, often it's due to genetic variants that inhibit that pathway and that breakdown and causes histamine to go too high. So it's one of those things where your threshold is already set high because of genetics, and then you add in all these histamine promoting foods, and that's when you start to see the symptoms. And again, you could have the runny nose and itchy eyes and sneezing and all that, or some of these other symptoms that we talked about.
And if somebody that lives in an area where there aren't pollens or molds or things that would trigger an allergic response may never know that they have a histamine thing going on,
Yeah.
that you're not going to know.
And again, it can be tricky. It can feel like inflammation. It can feel like joint pain is another one. It's that high histamine causes increased inflammation. It causes increased serotonin and pain. So it can all be related. And then again, the tyramine building up as well can cause inflammation and pain. So we may not associate with, okay, there's pollen happening and your threshold is up here and now you're eating a bunch of fermented foods and you have a reaction, but the reaction for you might be, I don't know why I have diarrhea. I don't know why my stomach's upset. I don't know why I have a headache. So it's not always straightforward histamine, allergy, blowing your nose kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, you mentioned serotonin. We think most of us of serotonin as the happy hormone, the nice hormone. But when you
Yeah.
just talked about it, it sounds like it might be interfering with something.
Yeah, excess serotonin can be very inflammatory. It can cause pain and agitation and irritability. Again, we're misconceptions there. We think it's just the happy hormone, and
The better.
the more the happier, but it's just not so. It's all about balance. Too high, too low is the problem.
Yeah.
So
Now, what about, I know that there are herbal flower remedies and things to clear histamine from the body. Any thoughts on that?
there's lots of things, nettles and all kinds of supplements and herbs that can help. But if you don't really clear it at the core of what's happening, which is in the genetics, the biochemistry down in the cell, you're really putting a Band-Aid on it. And that's fine. It's the equivalent of taking an antihistamine, but it's natural.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's great. At least it's natural, but you're still not solving the problem. And it can build up and hit you in other areas that you're not aware of. But one of the things that clears histamine is methylation. Getting our methyl groups increases something called SAMe, which donates a methyl group to the enzyme that breaks down histamine. And so if you really hit it from that core issue, you're getting to the core of it. And then histamine is a good thing. You don't want to lower it too much because then you're going to be all drowsy and can't think straight. You want the body to regulate it. And that's where when we give the nutrients, we're helping the body do what it's supposed to do naturally. We're supporting it instead of covering up or band-aiding. We're supporting the body to break down histamine naturally with staying away from those foods for the most part, not 100%. You don't have to avoid all of it 100%. It's just that if you eat that every day in larger quantities, it's probably going to affect you if you have those genetic variants. But if you take the right supplements and you stay low on those, you can really find that happy medium there that keeps you balanced.
It would be so easy to get way too much histamine if you think about many healthy people will start their day with yogurt.
Yeah.
They might tote along a bottle of kombucha throughout the morning. Then
Yeah.
they might have a Mediterranean salad, which has some nice olives and some who knows what kind of cheese. So without even thinking about it, you're
And that's a
layering
wine.
on the
Yeah,
triggers.
right.
That's a
A
bummer.
glass of wine and at the end of the day, and there your histamines are high.
So peeps, you can either get your genes tested and get yourself on some supplements that allows you to enjoy life, or you can just basically never eat or drink anything you like again. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Really. No, it really does make sense though to have both the best of both worlds. Do a little, don't do a lot, get some supplements to make it so that you can enjoy the little that you do.
And know, and that knowledge is power. Knowing what your genes are most aligned with is a very powerful thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's cutting edge medicine.
Indeed.
Okay, everybody, we'll be back with another food Q&A. We'd love to hear from you. Please send us an email or leave us a comment under here and subscribe so that you don't miss one of these. Thanks, Dr. J.
Thanks, GC.